Carroll County, Northwest Illinois area. Appreciate your efforts in contacting the President about hoping to get through this situation with Gitmo prisoners. Have you heard anything from the administration?
We have not. From the beginning of this, in fact, it was on November 13th of last year that I first found out about the plans to close the Gitmo Bay facility in Cuba and move the terrorists to northern Illinois. And I expressed at that time the sentiment, the overwhelming sentiment of my colleagues, that by about 9 or 10 to 1, they're totally opposed to moving the terrorists from Gitmo to anywhere in the United States, and that as long as that conversation persisted, linking opening up the Thompson prison with the terrorists coming, that it simply wouldn't go anywhere. And that's exactly what happened. I didn't lead the charge to stop Gitmo from coming to the United States. There were people on both sides of the aisle on numerous votes. The last one was about 375 to a handful that actually were the minority wanted to close Gitmo and move those facilities to the United States. What we've been telling the President all along, in fact a letter that we sent him a year ago in January, that said, look, just decouple these two. Let's open Thompson. Mr. President, this is your home state. You know, you need to do something for the people of your home state and open that up as a standalone federal prison that could take up to, I believe, 1,600, take up to 1,600 prisoners and create hundreds and hundreds of good-paying jobs in northern Illinois. He's been very persistent. He's held out the hope of fulfilling his campaign promise to close Gitmo. Others in his administration have talked about, at this time, we're not interested, or we're not going to take it off the table to the extent that there's a table. And the Illinois delegation of Republicans sent him a letter saying, look, once and for all, give up the idea of closing Gitmo and moving the terrorists to the state of Illinois, and do everything you can to open up Thompson as a standalone federal prison. Last week we were joined in a letter signed by Senators Durbin and Kirk to Eric Holder, the Attorney General, essentially saying the same thing. Give some assurances, it could be legislation, executive orders, or a combination of each, that you're not going to close Gitmo, that it will forever remain open, and do whatever you can in order to open up Thompson as a standalone.
Well, it's an unprecedented step to see two senators from opposite sides of the aisle to take that kind of action, but it was a welcome.
Well, it was. I mean, we led the charge on it from the beginning that you had to decouple this. Senator Durbin was 95% right. The 95 on wanted to open Thompson, 5% wrong on linking the closing of Gitmo to that. But he's obviously a very bright person, and he realized the politics of it and the policy involved, and he said, look, we'll abandon closing Gitmo and moving those people to Thompson because it's so important for us to do everything we can to create economic development in Thompson, Illinois, and the environs down there.
Well, we sure appreciate your efforts. What are your impressions of President Obama following what he termed this morning an international security mandate, a UN directive approving the bombing instead of going through Congress?
Well, there are a number of things that can be done. Number one, the War Powers Act states very succinctly that the President can commit troops, commit us to acts of hostilities if the United States is invaded or a territory suffers some type of injury or damage that could jeopardize security of this country, or there's an imminent threat of that. It's always been tied to the President not moving unless there's some type of a security threat to the Americans. Number one, we don't know what he's talking about, because first he said it was humanitarian. Okay, that's one thing. Second of all, he said that he had complied with the War Powers Act, and the people I talked to and the news reports that you see, is the leaders in Congress really have not been consulted, which is the legal term when it comes to the War Powers Act. Third is the mission. What exactly is the mission? Four, if this is enforced a no-fly zone, then why is the United States being involved in unleashing tomahawks and using our stealth bombers and other weapons of warfare to take out columns? That certainly has nothing to do with with enforcing a no-fly zone unless there's a machine in that column that has anti-aircraft missiles on it. I mean, it was Obama himself who said before he became president that a president does not have the authority to commit the United States to an act of war unless there is a clear danger under the War Powers Act of hostilities or we've been attacked ourselves.
Is there any impending action in Congress?
Well, yeah, you're going to find some resolution. People are very, very upset. Republicans and Democrats, conservatives and liberals, because no one can come up with yet why are we involved in this? The United States is effectively involved in a third war in the Middle East, taking sides in essentially what is a civil war, and that's not good.